This is the Franchise QB Podcast, where we empower entrepreneurs to win big in franchising. We huddle up weekly to educate our audience about the most successful small business model ever created, franchising.
Welcome to the Franchise QB Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Halpern, a 20-year industry veteran and entrepreneur. My mission is for listeners to achieve their American dreams of creating wealth and independence through franchise ownership. Every week, we speak with franchisees, franchisors, or vendors that support the industry. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started. Joining us in the huddle today is Natalie Fairchild, founder of Pacific Perks. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great to have you. So take us back to the beginning. How did Pacific Perks start?
Yeah, so 19 years in about a couple weeks, it'll be 19 years. We were living in Colorado, born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. And my husband has MS, and we needed to do something to change our life.
Okay.
We were in our early 30s. People were climbing that ladder, and we felt like our hands were slipping down it. The corporate world was just kicking his rear end. On my side, I'd been in the corporate world and decided to stay home when I had my girls. And then I realized I loved being a mom, but I also loved business because I started a design business. I was starting little things here and there. And so that's when I really said, okay, you're an entrepreneur. So we decided to come back to the Pacific Northwest where our support system was. And that's how Pacific Perks started. It was a do or die situation. We got to make this work. It has to happen. And I think that always helps as well. And yeah, it's been 19 years. So
19 years. Congratulations on the longevity. I know being an entrepreneur is hard and there's peaks and valleys, and 19 years is a lot of longevity. So congrats on all your success. And now you're parlaying that into a franchise system. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So you're in the Portland Metro in Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah.
For those listening that aren't from the area and don't know the brand, tell us a little bit about what is Pacific Perks?
Yes. So we're super unique. So I will tell you what we aren't. Okay. We're not a coffee shop. We're not a kiosk. We don't have a high-end retail space. We're a mobile event caterer. So what we do, clients will reach out to us or we'll reach out to them. They'll book an event with us. We charge a flat fee, let's say $600. And usually that's paid before we even go to the event. And then we take our equipment to the event, set up right inside their office, under a canopy or overhang, and everything is free for the people there who are there to enjoy it. So different kind of concepts. So business to business, event oriented, and kind of on the catering side of things.
Yeah. And I think for an owner, it seems like there's a ton of flexibility in terms of the life-work balance, because you can choose to do a lot of events. You can choose to do fewer events. You can ramp it up, ramp it down. So that sounds like a pretty cool benefit to an owner. So like when we talk about, you've built teams, your business is going to really thrive around the people that are, setting up the events, that are hosting the events.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your core values when you build out your team.
Yeah. So thank you so much for asking, because that is huge for me. I mentioned, our life situation and how Pacific Perks started. And that life work balance, it was huge part of that. And so from 19 years and on, from the top down, we are all about balance. So our Percologist, which is a trademark term, they're the ones that do the events and create an experience. They are W-2 employees. So they're regular employees. They are not contractors. However, we allow them to put their availability into our system, and our system will schedule them out on events based on their availability. So they don't have to ask for time off. They don't have to ask to go to their kids' field trip or sporting game or whatever is going on in their life. They just update the calendar on a continual basis. And that creates a work-life balance for them as well. So we ended up getting just people who love their job because they're the hero when they go do the job, right? You're giving stuff out for free. And who doesn't love a made-to-order affogato or espresso drink or mocha or whatever? So they love having that pat on the back and being the hero. And then when they're done, and they make great money. And so they love it. So,
That's pretty cool. Yeah, like they get the benefits of the W-2 and the predictability, but they also get to feel like they're a contractor where they almost pick and choose the events that they take on and ones they don't, which is
yeah.
really unique, not only for the franchise owner, but also for the employee.
Yeah. And it really is a different group of people that we attract. And that's part of our secret sauce
Yeah,
because
very
I don't
cool.
really have employee problems.
I mean, that's rare to hear because most entrepreneurs and business owners and franchise owners will talk about, that's the biggest challenge they have in their business is, there's the client acquisition piece and then there's the operations and execution piece. And it's about people. So you have to create a culture where you're attracting good people, you're retaining good people. So let's talk about how I don't need all your special sauce here on the podcast, but tell us a little bit about your culture. What makes it unique with Pacific Perks?
Yeah. So we are just a very supportive. Think this is where my little magic is. And I love to see and hear people. So it's nothing crazy. It's just the little things you do for people to let them know you see and hear them. When I'm at the office and people are loading up and I check in with them and see how they're doing and how is their dog, we send out handwritten cards for birthdays. If someone is sick, if someone lost somebody, we're in tune to all of that. Of course, the scheduling really, really helps. Our salaried people and actually hourly people that are operations wise, they get to enjoy the flexibility as well. And we do fun things. It doesn't take a lot. Like last summer, we washed everyone's vehicles and they get to come. We had snacks and drinks for them and
That's
they got
fun.
to pick out a fragrance tree and, there was some squirt bottles and, it was really fun. So it really doesn't, I love to talk about this because it's not huge stuff you have to do.
Mhm.
First, you have to just see people and hear people and appreciate them. So we really try and do that. And we've got core value cards where people will get one from a peer or operations. And if they get all five, they get like a bonus. We have a Percologist board where there's badges. So if they get a rave review from a client, they get that badge on their board that everyone sees. It's just a bunch of little things that have created such an amazing culture. Quick story, I had an employee helping us out for the holiday season,
Okay.
one of our busiest times. And has been in the corporate world, was in transition between two positions, marketing, PR, nonprofit work. Asked him how he was doing, after an event. I saw him in the parking lot and he goes, "This is the best company I've ever worked for." And I was like, "Really? Tell me more." And he goes, "Your systems are so tight and so good and so methodical. And then you attract these amazing people, and that just creates an amazing customer experience. And your clients just love you." And I was like, "Thank you." That warms my heart.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's great to hear that from internally from the people that are working with you and for you. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about like what the business does. I understand it's a event company. If someone's
Yeah.
like looking at this through the lens of a franchise owner, what does my setup look like in terms of like basic equipment? Where do I
Yeah.
store it? Can I operate this from home? Do I need a warehouse space? Do I need a fenced in lot? Like, what's that going to look like for an owner?
You don't need a fenced in lot. A light industrial space works great.
Okay.
We have had 1,000+ square feet for a very, very long time. So that small of a space can really have a lot of longevity the way we
And you
set
don't
it
have to
up.
store vehicles in that space. It's mostly like the,
No,
the equipment
no.
and
Yep.
the prep area and so forth.
Freezer and, things like that. Yeah, we have a small kitchen with a 3-part sink. So there's no
Okay.
slicing or dicing done in the kitchen.
Hmm.
It's just rinsing and getting things ready and cleaning and getting things ready for the next event.
Okay.
We personally have 15 carts. Franchisees start with 5 actual cart stations, and every service can be done on the cart. So you just plug in different equipment that you're going to need. Not literally plug in, but just,
Sure.
put it on that cart. And then the equipment for all 11 services. So we do have 11 services. So they're great for seasonality, great for clients love you. They know us a lot from our, espresso bar. And in the summer, we start scooping a lot of ice cream with our ice cream sundae bar. And we've just added dirty soda bar, which is kind of
Yeah, I
a
saw that. That's really cool.
craze.
Those are
Yeah,
tasty. I like those things.
yeah,
So it's kind of cool. So it's not just coffee. You have all these different solutions for a work event, for an indoor event, an outdoor event. Depending on what the client wants, they kind of a la carte what that, event's going to look like and what kind of food's provided, what kind of beverages provided, et cetera.
for sure. And niche markets, people always ask, well, like, who do you work with? Because it's kind of hard to sometimes get your head wrapped around it. So, who we work with, there's about 10 top niche markets. One is property management. So, apartment complexes. I don't know around you, Mike, but they just keep building them and building them. They have resident appreciation budget line, and we make it so easy for them. They can keep doing their job while we're taking care of their team. We do hospitals, medical offices will bring us in, banks and credit unions will do stuff for their members and or the community. We do a lot of sponsorships, golf tournaments. We work in manufacturing. Just to give you an idea, we can go around the clock, 3 shifts type of thing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned that. My son, Lane, who's going to be a freshman at the University of Tennessee here in the fall, he was an intern
Nice.
with me, yeah, to wrap up high school. So for the last 2 weeks, I took him into the office and I taught him what life is like as a franchise consultant. And we got to take a flight down to Atlanta and attend an event. We're going to talk about one of the events that you attended here recently. But one thing that was kind of interesting, I'm in space where you can have permanent, so almost like a WeWork in my area. It's called Metro Office. It's very
Yeah.
similar to Regis,
Yeah.
where they do events. And the office next to me could be an
Exactly.
attorney, and the office next to me can be a marketing company. And I happen to be
Yeah.
a franchise consultant, but they do all these really cool things. And the day my son was in the office with me, it was National Pie Day. So we walk in and there's this like big spread of pies. And he's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Well, we get free pie because we're a tenant in
Every
this
day.
space." Not every day. I was like, "Yeah, don't get too used to this. It's not all
Okay.
the
Yeah,
time."
exactly.
But I can see like we have a pretty big lobby. It's an 11-story building. There's, tons of other tenants that are in
Yeah.
this office space.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Pacific Perks would be a phenomenal
Yeah.
solution where it's like, hey, every Thursday we do this for our clients. You know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
sure that that's a pretty big part of your business also, not just
Yeah.
on the residential side, but there's food trucks and
Commercial.
there's these
Yeah.
things, but you guys
Yeah.
are can be an indoor
Yep.
solution that makes a lot of people happy.
Yeah, most of the time we are. Another niche market is schools, Teacher Appreciation Week, when they arrive back to school, holiday time, when they arrive back in January, and they bring us in. We're right in the staff room. No one has to go outside in the weather. And so it makes it really convenient.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, you guys are an emerging brand. You've been operating this business for a long time. You're now becoming a franchisor. And let's talk about like growth. Like you and I spoke about the fact that you have Portland is kind of your primary market. You even have territory on the south side of the market that's available where a franchise owner might be able to come in and participate in some of the
Yeah.
goodwill that you've built over these past 2 decades. Tell us a little bit about growth. Like, what are your target markets?
Yeah. So Seattle, for sure. We are getting more and more and more requests for us to go to Seattle from where
That
I'm
seems
at.
like a slam dunk, right? It's like really close
Slam dunk.
by, ton of wealth, ton of businesses,
Yep. Yep.
population base. Yeah.
We had to get registered in the state of Washington. So check that box, but we
Yeah.
are registered. And yes, so that is a great territory, as well as like the Tacoma area, which is south of Seattle, because we again have clientele there that want us to keep going. Another one came up this week. And so there is a huge need there. Denver is another hub. We lived there for, over 13 years,
Mhm.
and I have family, really good friends, tons of business potential there. So I'd love to be there. And then, yeah, this territory in South PDX metro area is an opportunity if we find the right franchisee. There's clients, there's already business, they're in our
Talk about a
backyard.
head start. I mean, that seems like a
And
slam dunk
huge.
for the right fit. So that's
Yeah,
great. Well, thanks
yeah,
for sharing that. So, I mean, I know it's a loaded question, but Pacific Perks, being an emerging opportunity, has this huge track record of success over the past 2 decades. In your view,
yeah.
what makes Pacific Perks a great franchise opportunity?
Well, I hear a lot from people, Mike, talking to people over and over again. I don't know if you do as well, of just something has to change in their life.
Hmm.
They want more balance. They want more flexibility. They want to own their flexibility. I hear that over and over again. So, this is a brand that has based on that, that has been that way for 19 years. And we set it up from the top down. Like I mentioned, we've been doing kind of like the gig economy with, Uber and things like that. We've been doing that in our company for 19 years, and it's really worked and helped keep that flexibility for everyone. So that is absolutely huge. The other thing is we have our own proprietary software that we started from scratch, literally stickies on a dining room table. What step one, step two. And I love the system. Every time I log in, I'm like, oh, I love this. It's just clean. It's easy to use. It does the scheduling. I know that's a huge thing for people, managing schedules. So it does that, captures event details, does reports, confirmations, all kinds of things. And we are systems, as my one employee had talked about when I checked in with them. And another employee a couple weeks ago said, yeah, you read a tight, fun ship. And we have so much methodology and so many checklists, and everything's documented. And, standard operating procedures, you can get them done. Maybe we got those done 10 years ago, but they're a living, breathing document. We're always updating them. It's like, where is that documented? Do we have that updated? So that is an amazing, amazing system that is ours for our proprietary brand, and we love it.
That's
And
cool.
this is great for someone who really is a people person. You really need to love or have somebody as a partner that loves being out in the community and networking.
Okay. So if someone decides that, I want to pursue this, what does a day in the life look like for an owner? Because as you know, when
Yeah,
you're like launching a business, even with the guardrails that a franchise provides, someone has to do the client acquisition. Someone has to
yeah,
execute the,
yeah,
the events. Somebody has to, handle customer service. There's just a lot. So, and I'm sure that, people that are strong in sales can go out there and do the business development, and other people that want to be in the field, like managing the team. But like
yeah.
typically, based on your experience, what will a day in the life look like?
Yeah, in the beginning, 70% of what you're doing is marketing, and there's several ways. And so you're doing a lot of that. And then as those events are booking, you're preparing those carts to a certain level for ready for the next day. You're getting supplies delivered, putting them on the shelf, that kind of thing. Talking to the clients, getting back with them, and putting the event orders in, building that relationship. The CRM does a lot of automatic stuff for you, which is great. Sending out letters based on the niche market, the newsletter, things like that. So it's a lot of different hats like normal. So it is good to see where your strengths lie and where your strengths aren't. I'm really a proprietor for really loving what you love to do and keeping that in your job,
Hmm.
because it doesn't pay to try and really train yourself on something that you're not good at.
Right.
Sometimes it costs a lot of money. But yeah, it's going to be a mixture of things. And you're going to start with a small team. Like you're going to hire 2 to 4 percologists. They're part time as needed. So they're getting paid when there are events. So you're not paying people to just stand in a store. And so that's really great too. And they're going to be the ones doing the events. So that's great. So you can keep working on your business, and you may want to do some promotional events. I think it's great to get out there in the community and do a free cart here and there. And that just brings attention and a lot of questions. And every time I do an event, I come back with a lot of leads because people are like, wow, this is great. How does this work? Where are you? Type of thing.
Yeah, and I would think that it's a really sticky service. Like if someone, property management company, for example, and it goes well and it's seamless and it's an amenity and people are happy and they want to be there more,
Yeah.
it breaks up their day. It kind of gives them something to look forward to. That's going to make them do this every week, every month,
Yeah.
every whatever it is. So
Yeah.
like the client acquisition piece matters because you always got to keep the funnel full of new events. But that
Yeah.
client can end up booking many events, throughout the year.
Yes. And that's exactly what happens. And we have over a 75% repeat rate. So people come back and back and back. And then I think another percentage or part of the percentage left is a lot of just keeping up with people changing positions. So you're up to date. But yeah, exactly. We have good systems, and we know how to hire and who to hire. And that creates an awesome experience. So they just keep coming back.
Cool. We're going to get
Yeah.
into the investment here in a minute, but I did want to
Yeah.
ask, you also have a podcast. Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
your podcast, why you started it, and what it's all about.
Well, I had another podcast, The Entrepreneur's Journey, and that was like as a business owner talking about different things.
Hmm.
And then Mindy and I last year started a podcast, and it's To Get Her To. So it's the word together. So, but if you
I
break it up,
saw it. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
with the number two.
yep.
And so to get her to be vulnerable, to get her to laugh, to get her to all kinds of things. So focused on women. We
Hmm.
love empowering women. And Mindy and I just love to have fun. We can't, I can't get away with anything from her, and she'll call me out live on the podcast. And we just have a lot of fun. We did do an event live actually in a theater last May, and
Wow.
we raised $10,000 for Alzheimer's. So it
Oh,
was
good for you.
a blast.
Congratulations for doing that. That's a
Yeah,
huge
so it's kind
success.
of just a passion
Yeah.
project and empowering women and helping people and realizing we're all in this together. And sometimes life is messy and yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That's really great. I'll have to check out the show. I did see some of the clips on your LinkedIn, which was neat. So I know you recently attended a franchise show there in Portland alongside my FranServe colleagues, Gail, Rich, and Marty. How was the event?
It was good. It was good. You know, I will tell you the weather in Portland never really gets to 100 very often, but this weekend in June it did. But we still had a really great turnout. Some great candidates that we're meeting with right now. So I was really, really happy with it. It was great to meet Marty. I haven't met him before, and to see Gail and Rich again. So
That's
it
awesome.
was
I'm
fun.
glad you went there. And it's just
Yeah,
the franchising community is small and it's good to kind of be in person, right? I mean, these meetings that we do online, we do them quite often, but it's good to see someone face to face. So I'm glad you
it is.
attended that. So let's get into if someone's watching and they're like, hey, this sounds really interesting. I want to take that next step. What is the startup cost in item 7? How approachable is the investment for Pacific
Yeah,
Perks?
it's 67, little over 67,000. So we'll just call it 68,000
Hmm.
in, and that includes the franchise fee and equipment you need, and your lease and grand opening expenses, cash on hand, travel expenses for training. Like, it's got everything in
I
it.
mean, that is such an approachable price compared to a lot of franchises in our inventory. You know,
Yeah.
it's just unusual to come across a concept that has the flexibility like Pacific Perks has, and you can get into it for far less than 100,000.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about item 19. Do you guys have an item 19 where they,
We do
a
have an
candidate
item.
can look at performance of your
Yep.
business?
Yep,
Awesome.
we do. We've got it. And I will tell you that the item 19 is in there, and then they took out, we take out the royalties, if it was a franchise,
Hmm.
what the royalties would be paid, the brand fund and the tech fee, and it's a 33.3% net margin
It's
after
incredible. These
royalties.
things are gonna be flying off the shelves, Natalie, I'm telling you. This is such a it's such a cool concept. I love your culture, and it's just something that is unique and different, and, I think really fits that life-work balance and that culture that we spoke about earlier. So, anything else that you wanna add to the mix before we wrap up today?
Yeah, there's one word that I don't mention very often about what we do, and it is fun. It is a really fun industry. We get to go to fun places that I would never get to go to. I was at the Ritz Carlton for a Oregon wedding event planners award show, and it was spectacular. We've met celebrities, we've gone in nooks and crannies that you just didn't know existed. So it is a fun business. I
Yeah, I
always
was gonna
forget.
say, you probably just get to see every little corner of the community that you don't
Yeah,
see in your regular life when you're in this business because your client roster is like pretty diverse, right? It's not just we're only doing, workspaces, or we're only doing, residentials, or we're only doing hotels. Like you can kind of, perform these events anywhere.
yeah, anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
Super cool.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Natalie, I really appreciate your time. It was great to see you again. And if anyone listening would like to connect with Natalie and her team to learn more about becoming a franchise owner with Pacific Perks, contact me at franchiseqb.com and I'll get you connected. Thank you, Natalie, so much for taking the time
So
to get in the
much.
huddle with us today.
I appreciate it, Mike.
You got it. Talk soon. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to the Franchise QB podcast, where you're at the helm of your future as a franchise owner. If you enjoyed the content, please rate the show and recommend it to anyone that might be interested in franchising. Make sure to visit franchiseqb.com to subscribe to my newsletter and for an actionable playbook to go from walk-on to legend in your new business. Follow us on Twitter at QBFranchiseQB and join us every week for a new episode. See you next time.
Visit franchiseqb.com to take the next step of your journey towards wealth, independence, and franchise ownership. And remember, when working for the man gets old, you must do something bold. Thank you for listening.